Good afternoon, everyone. It is 5 o'clock, and at this time I'll call the pre-council meeting for the Perry City Council for Tuesday, February the 3rd, 2026 to order. We do have a quorum. Are there any citizens here this evening that would like to address mayor and council? Thank you. Item 4, items for review and discussion. Item 4A is the discussion of the February the 3rd, 2026 council meeting agenda. Council members, I'll call your attention to that agenda at this time. Items 1, 2, and 3 are standard items. Would anybody like to do the invocation?
I'll do the pledge.
Okay, Reverend King and Dr. Albritton. Okay. Item 4 would be citizens with input. Item 5 is an appointment. Item 5A is Perry Planning Commission. Council members, Dr. Faust has an appointment of Robert Story this evening, so we'll look forward to that. Thank you. Item 6 is a public hearing. The purpose of the public hearing is to provide any interested parties with the opportunity to express their views and concerns in accordance with OCGA Section 36-66-4. Item 6A is a rezoning request, and the applicant is the Patriot Development Group, LLC, requests the rezoning of property to amend existing PUD standards. The property is located at 1824 Houston Lake Road, and I'll read the tax map numbers. Ms. Carson?
Thank you, Mayor. As stated, yes, sir, this is a rezoning request for the Encore development. They are looking to shift the PUD standards for the development in an effort to accommodate some requested changes from GDOT. They have to shift the lane, the entrance at the north side there, the northmost portion of the parcel there, and in order to accommodate the length requirement, I believe it is, from GDOT. Forgive me, my report is on the printer, and I am working on getting that here right now, so I will have a full report in the meeting. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of the request as submitted, and there was no feedback from residents on this one.
Okay. Questions, council, about this request? Item 6B is a rezoning request. It's RZNE 0225-2025. The applicant is Paul Schofield, requesting rezoning of property from R-2 single-family residential to RM1 multifamily residential. The property is located on St. Frank Satterfield Road. Council members, I've been informed this afternoon that we have been asked to table this due to some additional information that was received relative to possibly wetlands area or floodplain. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, some new information became available today that this area will be subject to additional studying from the State Environmental Protection Division. And while that does not pertain specifically to the concept of rezoning, we felt it best to take in this information and come back once we've had a chance to understand what it actually will be.
Okay. Yeah, I would prefer not to build anything in a floodplain, please. Thank you. Item 6C is a special exception, SUSE 0227-2025. The applicant is Whitfield and Company, LLC. They request a special exception to allow a short-term rental. The property is located at 1414 Main Street. Ms. Carson?
Thank you, Mary. Yes, sir, as stated, this is a special exception request to use the entire property, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house as a short-term residential rental for up to 8 guests with 3 vehicles. The house did pass all of the inspection requirements and other requirements, and the full report will be read at the time of the hearing. The Planning Commission did recommend approval as submitted, and there was no feedback from surrounding residents on this application.
Okay. Questions, council members? Thank you, Ms. Carson.
Yes, sir.
Item 6D is a text amendment 0221-2025. The applicant is the City of Perry, requesting a text amendment to the Land Management Ordinance to amend Section 2-3.13.2 preliminary plats by adding subsection 2-3.13-.2G addressing requirements. Mr. Duffy?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So this item is a process improvement clarification to identify and state that the responsibility for emergency 911 compliant addressing of proposed building and unit locations is the responsibility of the applicant to provide at the outset of an application for a preliminary plat. We're requesting that those be labeled on preliminary plats submitted for review at the time of submission. Really administratively streamlining the process.
Okay. Questions, council members, relative to this text amendment? Item 7 is review of the minutes. 8 is unfinished business. 8A is ordinances for the second reading and adoption. 8A1 is the second reading of an ordinance to amend the FY 2026 operating budget. Mr. Worthington?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, tonight is the second reading of an ordinance to pass the mid-year budget adjustment that we do as a part of our standard practice every year. We went over that in a little more detail last night and at the first reading. Staff's recommendation remains the same.
Okay. Questions, council?
I have 2 or 3 or 4. I think we're all struggling with this one. Nobody wants their rate to increase. It's been the city's philosophy over the past few years to address, I guess, funds that are looking like they're headed toward being upside down, to do small rate increases and not bypass a rate increase due to the fact that the next one that comes by could be severe. Is that kind of, am I on the right thinking there?
That's correct, yes, sir.
And so, hypothetically, if we do not go up 3% and we're upside down in that fund, where will the money come from to make it right, I guess?
Ultimately, that would be this council's decision. However, you have a few choices. Number one would be to spend fund balance. That's cash that you have in that fund built up from previous years. You do have the option to spend some general fund dollars on portions of the debt if you'd like to. The GFA loans and the 2016 bonds, that's not really an option because of the covenants that are in those loan instruments. However, with the PPFA debt, you all would have the ability to spend general fund or tax or property tax dollars to cover that debt if you'd like to. So essentially, you'd shift the debt burden over to the property taxpayers instead of the ratepayers for that fund.
And this is what's called an enterprise fund that is supposed to be self-sustaining, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, the general fund, how much is in that roughly right now? Do you know that figure?
How the cash
yeah.
in the fund right now? Give me 1 second.
And also the fund balance, roughly.
So we are calling that currently there is approximately $5.4 million in cash in the general fund. Vast majority of the general fund's fund balance is cash. It's a very liquid fund.
Now, is this the fund what's the fund that we have like 2 months of reserves?
That would be the general fund, yes, sir.
And your preference is to be close to 3 months or at 3 months?
I would say three would be the minimum that we should shoot for. 4 would be even more comfortable.
And what is our fund balance? Or these aren't the same thing, correct?
There can be a difference in fund balance. I don't have the audit
Okay,
cert in
that's
front of me,
fine.
but I will tell you that our unrestricted fund balance, which is fund balance that you can spend on anything, is almost purely cash. So that 5.4 million is pretty much what your unrestricted fund balance is.
Okay. And just a few more questions. I think I saw this somewhere. How much did our electricity that we got charged go? What percentage did it go up in this budget?
If you can give me just a second, I can pull that up.
I'm sorry to catch you off guard.
You're good. I looked at that earlier today. I do not have the percentages here, but I can tell you in FY '23, we spent $1.14 million on Georgia Power electricity bills.
Mm-hmm.
In FY '24, we spent $1.388 million.
Mm-hmm.
And in FY '25, we spent $1.559 million. From FY '22 to FY '25, it was a 50% increase in electrical costs.
So from FY '22 to '25, it was a 50% increase?
Yes, sir.
What about, I think I saw an alarming figure too with health insurance. Do you?
I have that right here. Going from I won't go through every year, but FY '22, health insurance premiums totaled $950,330. For FY '25, they totaled $1,958,000 and change. That's an increase of 106%.
Okay. I think that's all I have. It's just a tough decision because the last thing I want to do is raise rates, but everything seems to be just gone sky high, and then a year from now I don't want to go up 10 or 15% if we're way upside down. I guess it's kind of frustrating to me that things cost so much. That's all, right?
Okay. Other questions, comments?
Just an observation, sir. I'm glad Dr. Albritton brought that up because as he noted and Mr. Worthington noted, expenses are going up. Everyone knows expenses are going up, and the city of Perry is no exception. We have expenses too. They're not going down. Everything from electricity, health insurance, vehicle prices, everything's going up. And I just hope that our citizens understand that we're not immune to the pressures of inflation.
Questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Item 8A2 is a second reading of ordinance amending the city code section 25-31, separate water meters relative to master meters. Mr. Duffy?
Yes, sir. So as you may recall from our last meeting, this is a different type of process improvement we are proposing regarding how we handle the city's prior position of requiring separate water meters at certain types of developments. In the resolution, we're proposing the addition of a subsection letter D, which is basically allowing different combinations of water meter structuring for different types of buildings following receipt of a request from such an applicant. Those would be granted at the discretion of the chief building official, pending no service disruptions as a result of any changes in that.
Questions, council, relative to this ordinance amending the city code? Thank you, Mr. Duffy. Item 9 is any other unfinished business. We'll go through that with each one of you. Item 10 is new business. And we have 10A is matters referred from the February 2nd, 2026 work session and the February 3rd, 2026 pre-council meeting. We had a number of items last night that we carried forward. One would be the Heritage Oaks Park rental. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mayor. Very good discussion yesterday on private rentals being allowed at Heritage Oaks Park. I came away from the conversation with the understanding that most of you would like to see private events continuing out there in some form or fashion. However, staff was charged with putting together some enhanced processes and policies relative to rentals out there, and a revised rental agreement outlining the safeguards and measures that would need to be put into place to successfully host an event at Heritage Oaks Park. As you are aware, the city is currently under a moratorium for new private rentals at that location. Administration is requesting an extension to that moratorium of 30 days. That would take the moratorium to March 17th and allow staff time to address the concerns that you had and get something back to you. We would envision that item coming back to you at your first work session in March.
Questions, council members? And we'll just ask for your approval to allow the staff to bring that back to you, and also approving, I would assume, Mrs. Newby, that would be approving the moratorium for 30 days. Okay, thank you.
A question, Mayor.
Yes,
What-
sir.
What was that date, Mr. Smith, that we're extending it out to?
The 30-day extension would run through March 17th.
Thank you.
Any other questions? 10A2 is the city banner policy. Mr. Smith?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, following up on the proposed policy to allow banners in the downtown district for certain events. You will recall that administration presented to you basic outline of a policy that would allow banners for 4 specific events each year: Perry International Festival, Perry Dogwood Festival, Perry 4th of July celebration, and Perry Buzzard Drop. Also included in the proposed policy are some stipulations relative to design, that sort of thing, of the banner. And following the discussion, there were some additions that you all wanted to see included in the policy. Those would be a general staff or administrative review of the proposed design of that banner to ensure that it adheres to the city guidelines and brand and all that sort of thing. Also, a specific number of grommets to be required on each banner as part of the design guidelines to ensure for consistency and make sure that the banner is able to be securely fastened to whatever Public Works fastens them to. So that's what's coming for you this evening.
Okay, questions, council members? We discussed this at length last night. Additional questions? Okay. Item 10A3 is Purdue wastewater request. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mayor. You will all recall that you had in your e-scribe a draft letter from the city administration to Purdue outlining a basic framework of an agreement to accept domestic wastewater flow from their Highway 247 spur location, their cook plant, and their harvesting plant. You will recall that the city has generally agreed to accept 50,000 gallons per day of that flow, and in return, the city would receive a connection fee and also establish a strong recurring monthly rate-paying customer for the new facility. So very, very good thing for the city. And if you all agree this evening, that letter would go out to them tomorrow. And we'd come back to you all with some sort of formal agreement to outline the stipulations of their service.
Okay. Questions?
I do
Yes.
have a question. So we talked about allowing them to break their connection fee payment into 4 payments across 4 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Will we be calculating interest into that might be the equivalent interest of what our GFA loan interest rate is?
That has not been discussed.
Okay, just wondering. And then, I don't know, the more I got home and started thinking, I'm still pro doing that, but the more I got home and thought about it, I thought, all right, is this gonna set a precedent for future industries being able to also finance their connection fees, for lack of a better word? How can we address that, as this is a unique situation?
I think much like this set of circumstances, the company would come to the city requesting service, and you would just consider all of the tenants associated with that agreement, service provision on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, perfect, that's fine. Does that make?
Thank you. Item 10A4 is the Georgia Power cost pole banners and lighting. I think that's Georgia Power's additional cost for us installing pole banners and lighting. Mrs. White?
Yes, sir. Last night we discussed Georgia Power's attachment permit process, which outlines for an annual fee, cost per pole. We have to pay for power usage, and then also an installation cost. And this applies to our Christmas pole decorations. This process is triggered when they replace the current power poles throughout downtown on different streets. It's not required for current installations that are already in place. And the recommendation was to focus on downtown for replacements at such a time that they replace those poles.
Okay. Questions, council? Thank you, Ms. White. Item 10A5 is Legacy Park Phase 2. Ms. White?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Phase 2 of Legacy Park includes revision of the Main Street and Carroll Street intersection curb line to better allow for wider turns at that intersection. And then also proposed is a courtyard area for relocation of the Confederate monument. And the total for those two phases of the project was $594,936.50. We're requesting approval to proceed with bidding out the project.
And that's coming out of SPOS funding from our Park and Recs
Yes.
funding. Okay. Questions, council? Thank you. Item 10B will be the vote on the special exception application 0227-2025, and we'll take a vote on that at that time. Item 10C is ordinances for the first reading and introduction. 10C1 is the first reading of an ordinance to rezone property to amend the existing PUD standards for the property located at 1824 Houston Lake Road and 1904 Highway 127. Ms. Carson, anything additional there? Okay. Item 10C2 is the first reading of an ordinance to rezone property from R-2 single-family residential to RM1 multifamily. We will take a vote on tabling that. We won't, sorry. When that's presented, can they request it be tabled at that time? Would it require a vote at that point in time?
So at this point, I think the request has been to postpone the hearing.
Okay.
So there shouldn't be a first reading at this point.
Okay,
so really,
we'd just strike it.
yes.
But it would be
until such a time as you have the public hearing on it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Item 10C3 is the first reading of a text amendment to the Land Management Ordinance to amend Section 2-3.12.2 and the preliminary plats by adding subsection 2-3.13.2G. Again, this is the first reading and no action is required. Item 10D are awards of bid. 10D1 is bid number 2026-04. This is for 4 police interceptors. Mr. Worthington?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, this was a standard bid process, and we received 3 responsive bids ranging from $201,828 in total to $237,984. The low bid was Stivers Brothers Automotive of Union City. That comes out to $50,457 apiece. Funding for this is budgeted in the currently approved FY26 budget in the general fund, and funding would come via a GMA lease. Staff's recommendation would be to approve these. There's also a backup letter from the chief in your packet that discusses the condition of the vehicles that would be replaced.
Questions, council? Thank you. Item 10E are resolutions for consideration and adoption. 10E1 is a resolution accepting ownership and maintenance of rights-of-way and certain infrastructure in the preserve at Agricultural Village, Section 2, Phase 4. Mr. Duffy?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yes, so this is a roadway and infrastructure acceptance resolution, as you mentioned, in the Preserve at Agricultural Village, Section 2, Phase 4. The roadway, sanitary, sewer, and related stormwater infrastructure has been inspected and meets city design standards. This would be for a portion of right-of-way called Planters Row.
Questions, council? Thank you, Mr. Duffy. 10E2 is a resolution accepting ownership and maintenance of rights-of-ways and certain infrastructure in the preserve at Agricultural Village, Section 3, Phase 3. Mr. Duffy?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So also in the preserve at Agricultural Village, different section and phase. Similar process of acceptance following city review, although this is for portions of rights-of-way for Rusty Plow Lane and Encore Drive.
Okay. Questions, council? Thank you. 10E3 is a resolution accepting ownership and maintenance of rights-of-way and certain infrastructure in the Orchard on Main, Phase 1. Mr. Duffy?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So other side of town at the Orchard on Main in Phase 1. This is an acceptance resolution for portions of Wildflower Lane, Pleasant Oaks Drive, Willow Creek Drive, Crossroad Drive, Main Street, and Keith Drive.
Okay. Questions, council members? Thank you, Mr. Duffy. Item 10F is Star Trek Liquors doing business as Squire Package Store request. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, from time to time, the City Manager's Office does receive formal requests from property owners, residents, business owners, that sort of thing, making requests that need to come to you all for a decision. For this particular set of circumstances, you have in your e-scribe a series of 3 documents, with the first document being a written request to, and it says waive, but it would actually be refund the interest from a late tax bill for Star Trek Liquor doing business as Squire Package Store. The gentleman came in, claimed that they had not received their tax notice, and that's why it was late. They did make full payment. Generally, the process that kind of occurs on this, and you see some of the documentation, is the tax notices go out in October, and then interest payments start on December 23rd, which is the day after tax payments are due. And that's where this interest payment started accruing for this particular property owner here in the city. And he received a notice of a FIFA, which is essentially a notice that there could be a lien placed on their property if they don't pay their taxes. And usually in February at some point in time, the FIFA or the lien kicks in, and then at that point in time, further money that accrues shifts from interest to penalties, probably more than y'all want to know. Well, anyway, the gentleman came in and paid. And looking at it, I've spoken with all of the pertinent staff persons who handle this sort of business with the city. We utilize the same communication database, mailing address, all that sort of thing as the county tax assessor. They did receive their tax notice for the county, and they did pay their tax notice for the county. We utilize, again, the same process, same contact information, all that sort of thing. The gentlemen, again, pay county taxes. As a business owner, know that they have to pay taxes on an annual basis. You know, it's a recurring thing. And looking at our internal processes, there was no failure internally in getting these documents out. Now, his claim that he did not receive his notice, possibly lost in the mail, that sort of thing, that very well could be the case. There's no documentation substantiating one way or the other. However, it has been our practice here at the city that if it was not the fault of the city and our processes and things that we have in place, then we, don't essentially take responsibility for that. So in this case, we wouldn't take responsibility for the failure of the U.S. Postal Service to deliver the notice effectively. So, all of that being considered, administration would recommend denying the request to refund the interest in the amount of $48.58.
Questions, council?
Yes, sir, if I may, Mayor. Mr. Smith, does this happen very often? Do we get requests like this? How often would you say we get a notice saying from a business, or, well, in this case, it's a business, so from a business saying they never received their tax document?
This is the only time it's happened to me specifically. We went through a whole, tax billing and payment cycle this past fall, and for as far as I know, this is the only request that we received.
I think, I've been here since 2018, and this is the second time that one has been brought to council.
I think it should be noted, as Mr. Smith pointed out, that, failure to receive this notice does not prevent you from owing the taxes. I've seen that on tax notices or bills that I've received. So, and Squire Package Store has been here as long as I can remember, and so it's, he, as administration pointed out, this is he knew this was coming, and this is it's kind of anyway. Okay. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? And the recommendation is to deny the request. Item 10G is Wind River Woodlands Water Main Looping. Ms. White?
Thank you. What I have for you tonight is a request to provide looping for the Wind River subdivision. I'm just going to kind of break it down in case you all aren't as familiar as I am with this process. So this is Wind River. It's next to the Woodlands on 127. And the yellow star down at the bottom of the map shows the only connection that neighborhood has to the main. So there's 142 homes in this subdivision. If someone here at the front on Katy Drive or Branson Drive, depending on where the valves are, the entire remainder of the neighborhood has to be cut off for water if there's a repair. So up at the top where the yellow line is, we're requesting that we loop it into the water supply at the Woodlands so that they can backfeed, and only a small percentage of the people would have to be out for any type of repair or break in the line. Piles Plumbing has provided a quote for $39,800, and that would take care of it for us if you would like to proceed.
Questions, council members? Yes, ma'am.
How do we pay this? Is it out of the water fund?
Administration would recommend this be paid out of SPLOST.
Okay.
Actually, this is a perfect SPLOST project. One-time I know. One-time capital investment, something like this. Ms. White's done a good due diligence on this, but I think it's important to note that this specifically could be a public safety issue. If you were to lose water service, there would be issues possibly with fire suppression. Also, too, it has been the city's practice in the past to make sure systems are looped when possible for redundancy purposes.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions? Thank you, Ms. White.
Yes, sir.
Item 10H is 2026 Water System Master Plan. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, this is a project that has been alluded to, I think, with you all up to this point in time. And before you this evening, for your consideration, is an agreement to formally kick it off, if you will. This would be what we're calling the Water System Master Plan. You will recall back in 2018 or so, I guess, maybe incorrect on that, the city went through a very similar process with our wastewater sewer system and master planning that out. And what staff is recommending to you this evening is to do the same for water. As we move forward with the comprehensive planning process, with service delivery strategy, negotiations with the county, all that sort of thing, I think it's imperative that we understand where we are with our water system. And you can see in the attached or your agreement that's in your e-scribe the scope of services associated with this project, very robust project. So of course, task one with the water demands and planning horizon, that plays right into what we will all be looking at as the comp plan process rolls out. Looking at existing conditions, water system needs and improvements, so a kind of a CIP sort of situation built into there. And then water system master plan with task 4. And really the one thing that I specifically wanted to see in the scope of services here was the second bullet on task 4. Provide and develop a determination and map showing which entity, either the city or the county, is in the best position to provide water service currently and in the future. This determination will be based on capacity, proximity to existing infrastructure, cost to provide service, modeling, and other relevant factors. I think you'll recall at a recent meeting, we flashed up on the screen for you all the general maps that show wastewater service delivery area and water service delivery area. And I tried to show you all sort of the discrepancy in what we generally consider our service area and what is shown in the water service delivery area map. And you will also remember, I think maybe at that same meeting, there was a request from the county relative to the city providing water service in Abington Glen. Y'all remember that? And we decided to go forward with a little study to see if it was feasible and cost beneficial for us. That is going to happen, I think, a lot more. And as the city and the county work together to ensure that residents are provided water service, I think it would be very beneficial to have our engineers in this process complete that basic analysis so we can enter into negotiations and look at projects and stuff from an educated standpoint. So that's what's before you this evening. We actually received 2 proposals on this, and you can see this proposal before you this evening is for $46,500, not to exceed. And this will also be paid out of SPLOST. Administration does recommend moving forward with this project, and right now we're thinking it'd be a 4 to 5 month time frame to completion.
So for the sewer, we went outside of our local area to have a company do, I guess, the fee and rate structures, but this is different because this is like the full master, the planning side. It's not the same, right? I'm just thinking like, because ESG, that's who really kind of manages all of our water stuff now, right?
ESG Engineering is a subsidiary of the same principal company, yes.
So is it wise to have the same group that does all of that work do this work for us as far as this planning?
I'd have no reason to think it's not. I think this is my kind of vision, if you will.
Yeah.
We basically have an engineering firm looking over each of our kind of significant functions that require a lot of engineering work, right? So what I kind of was thinking on this is GWS handles a lot of our wastewater sort of projects. Keck and Wood handles a lot of our transportation-oriented projects and park projects. ESG Engineering would handle water projects, and they actually, in the past couple of years, completed a very significant water modeling project for us and looking at service in the city, so they're already familiar with our system. So that sort of thing, and like I said, we did receive 2 proposals. The other proposal was significantly higher for the same scope of services. So I think value plus their familiarity with our system would be prudent to move forward with at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
I'm just going to add, I know this, Mayor, this was one of your goals that you had mentioned, I think, in our first meeting, and I know we're going to do more on that, but this is really an important one, and I'm really glad we can get the process started, and really glad that it comes out of SPLOST. What a great friend that is. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments? Item 10I is the announcement of the final candidate for the Assistant City Manager, Ms. Birdshaw.
Yes, sir. Mayor and Council, we will announce the final candidate tonight, and then in 2 weeks, we will bring the resolution to present in 2 weeks.
As I understand it, it's a state requirement to announce and then have to have a 2-week waiting period.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Very good. Thank you. Item 10J is the 2026 Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax Intergovernmental Agreement. Ms. Newby?
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, we received the proposed T-SPLOST IGA from Peach County for us to consider and execute along with the cities of Byron, Warner Robins, Fort Valley, and of course Peach County. Much like the IGA relative to the FLOSS that you approved relative to Houston County at your last meeting, this T-SPLOST agreement provides for the issue to be put on a referendum for the voters to decide at an election held in May of 2026. This would be for the voters to determine within the special district of Peach County. The T-SPLOST would be a 1% sales tax. It would continue for a period of 6 years with collection beginning on October 1st of 2026. The proposed amount that relates to for the city of Perry of what they're proposing is 1.2% of what's collected, and that's estimated to be around $420,000. Again, this funding would have to be used on streets and roads within Peach County and within the city of Perry. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. We did send over a request for a couple of updates to the agreement. They were mainly just typos. We haven't received the clean copy back, but in your e-scribe is a copy of the email with that request as well.
Okay. I think we have 2 streets in Peach County, maybe 3 at the most, but we do, City of Perry is in Peach County, so we were included in this T-SPLOST that they put forward. But questions?
I had one. Does this 1.2% of the proceeds, does this obligate us to have to do anything?
No, it's just our part of the collection.
So if one of those 2 streets needs to be repaved, we could use that 400 to
Yes.
repave or something like that? Okay.
I think I don't know if they've decided on what they would spend the money on there or what they're requesting us to spend the money on. It's just transportation money that it could be, you could use it for improvements of the airport. Because it's not only roads, it's transportation.
Okay.
So, I mean, there may be some funding that would be needed out there.
But everything in our city, in our service, well, I guess our city, would, anything that's purchased would be increased by 1%, is that correct?
If it's within Peach County.
Peach County.
Just in Peach County?
Yes, sir. The special taxing district is Peach County.
Okay, thank you.
So anything that's purchased within the city of Perry that's located within Peach County, this would apply to.
Understand. Thank you.
Okay. Other questions? Okay, thank you. Items 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17 are standard items. We will be required to have an executive session this evening for the purpose of real estate, so we will be doing that. Is there any questions about the agenda that we have gone through this evening? Thank you. If no questions, I'll refer you back to the pre-council. Item 5 are council member items. Dr. Faust? Anything? Mr. Jones? No, sir. Dr. Albrecht? Okay. Mr. Moody?
No, sir.
Mr. Peterson?
None for me, thank you.
Reverend King? Is anything? Mr. Smith, is there anything else that you would like to bring before us?
Yes, Mayor, and I'd be happy to bring this up too in the regular meeting. But I provided for each of you at your spot on the dais an email that was received by the city just 2 days ago, I believe, from GDOT. And this is a direct follow-up from Councilmember King's question last night about the status of the Hendricks Bridge project, the replacement project. You can see here that GDOT has informed us that they will institute a traffic shift and some closures starting February 16th. So I told you it was very soon, Mr. King. I just didn't realize how soon. So sometime soon you will see some substantive activity out there related to that project. And it's going to be disruptive, but we will try and stay on top of that. And I know our communications team has put together a proactive communications plan associated with letting people know what's going on, what lanes are closed, that sort of thing.
Okay. And what I interpreted from this is that they're closing W.F. Reagan at the bridge, and if you're going to go on W.F. Reagan, you have to go all the way back up Washington and then come back in.
Yes, sir, for the time being.
For this period of time. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Questions relative to that, council members? Okay. Anything else, Mr. Smith?
No, sir.
Anything for us, Ms. Newby? Okay, thank you. Council, is there anything that needs to come before us before we adjourn our pre-council session? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn until 6 o'clock.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. We do stand adjourned until 6 o'clock.